Hi, everyone. This is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond. I'm so glad you're all here. I am super excited for this week's podcast. I am talking to Taniya Nayak, who is a designer on Restaurant Impossible, a show my family and I have been watching for years. She is bright and light and adorable, and you're about to find out why. This podcast, Peace and Possibilities podcast, is designed around helping to inspire people, share stories about how they got where they wanted to go with their career and their life and their journey there along the way, being peaceful and happy and content. So obviously not everyone gets to where they want to go as quickly as they want to get there, but along the way, hopefully they can still be peaceful and content and happy and grateful, so that every day doesn't have to be miserable until they get successful or make it to where they want to make it.
Literally my everyday, like my philosophy.
Oh, good. What? So
Yeah.
what, in your words, what is that philosophy?
Just the philosophy of the fact, and I know it's such a cliche saying that people talk about all the time, is that, you love what you do and it never feels like you're working, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, hey, there's a reason why a lot of people say that. It's just the truth. I feel I use this hashtag all the time on, when I do a post, I always write design life. And I feel like it applies to the fact that I'm a designer, but that I really feel like I've designed my life to be exactly what I want it to be, and there are times when I sit there and I always feel like, do I need to push to the next level? Like what next? What next? What next? Sometimes we don't just stop and sit and say, this is pretty good. Like, I don't have to jump to what next right now. I'm happy. It's good,
Yeah.
and so.
Oh, I love that.
I just
I
feel
love
good.
that. I don't even know how long we've been watching Restaurant Impossible and seeing you on that awesome show. It's been years because my kids are now, one just graduated college, one's about to start college.
Wow.
So it's been
Yeah.
years. And I remember, honestly, like we'll watch that show. My husband's a big foodie and he watches, Food Network and all of that, has been for years. And this is one of those shows where we tried to watch family shows. My boys are big into sports. So it's like, we're either watching sports or we're watching something on the Food Network because it's family friendly and we can watch things that don't have to worry about inappropriate things. So we got into the show years ago, and the before and afters are always fun. But every time Robert would get on the show and talk to the owners of the restaurant, and then he'd say, well, I'm going to bring in my designer. And we all were always crossing our fingers, hoping it was you. Loved your energy. You did on the show. And my husband, whose name is Brian, I was reading about you and I realized, I think that's fun.
Right.
He loves.
Good name.
Yeah. He's like, oh, that's even better. But he would always say, we'd all be sitting on the couch and say, you'd come on and we'd be like, yay, Tanya. And when they were little, they would say, Mom, she's so bright. She's so smiley, so happy. And I'm like, she is. And I was like, you're attracted. Yeah, they were attracted to the energy. So was I, so was my husband. I said, but that energy you're seeing in her is someone who loves what they do. And I've always tried to teach them that you meet people that are miserable and people that are, you're at a store or wherever, and the people are so happy. I'm like, those people, everyone has a life that, with stories and where they are for, different reasons. I said, but you don't want to be that way. You want to be like, no matter what you're doing, you can still be happy doing it and have a good attitude.
Yeah.
So when you see people that are lit up like that from the inside, I go, that's because they really worked on doing something that they're passionate about and they love, and that you can't deny that energy when you meet them. And so
well, that was good. Good advice to the kids for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny. You can tell them this little story. The truth is that back in the day, on the first, several years of Restaurant Impossible, I would never, and I still to this day, I approach it differently now because now I think I know more, but I would go on to set. It'd be my turn to go in there and meet with Robert. And I didn't know what just went down. Like what you guys are all watching on TV.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't see that because I'm out in the design tent getting things prepped and ready and
Yeah.
working on things and talking to volunteers and stuff. And so I bust in there all bubbly and happy with my own damn self because I was just like so ready to take on this design, but I would have no idea the heaviness of what just took place. Like that's when all the tears happen before the designer comes in, you know, when Robert really kind of lays into them to find out what's going on and why they're failing. And this is the first time a lot of them are being told they're a failure to their face, you know, or that their food isn't good. And so I would never know that that was happening. And I would just bounce in there all bubbly and happy, which I think to everyone's surprise was probably a good, really good thing because it broke the ice a little and it lifted the energy of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think, you know, we had a 3-year hiatus and now I walk in there and I know that there was a pretty good chance that something heavy just went down. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm not as bubbly when I walk in anymore because I'm trying to be respectful of what just happened. But inevitably, Robert, Tom, and I, we are siblings. Like we are straight up brothers and sisters from other mothers, you know, and like we just can't help but giggle and laugh and pick on each other. And that's all we do the whole time is rag on each other.
Oh, funny.
So, you know, we make light of it. And I think also Robert's approach now as he's getting older is he, you know, before he'd be pretty harsh and for good reason, you know, sometimes people just need that sort of knock of sense into them. But now I think, you know, he'll have those heavy moments, but he knows how to come out of that bubble of burden. I don't know what you want to call it, you know, a little quicker and move on and realize in the real big scheme of things, it's their life that we're dealing with, but there's a lot more in life to worry about. So his concern is to make sure that they're okay, first and foremost. You know, design and all the rest of it always kind of is like the bonus icing on top, but it's really just fixing these people. And I don't know, it feels good. It feels good leaving there at the end of the day, or at the end of day 2. We give that restaurant back. Everybody worked their butts off. You know, we're sweating and tired and hungry, you know, like the whole thing, you know, but then we're done and we're like, when do we get to do this again? You know?
It's fun to watch because of the transformation and the quick way to do it and all those people helping. We've definitely noticed him, Robert, softening up as he's getting older, which is nice. And he's just, you can tell from the heart, he cares about those people. He wouldn't be doing it if he didn't. He's telling them the truth because they need to hear it and that he wants them to be successful. You can feel that for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me about so I know you're a designer and you have your own business. And so this is just, I only knew you on the show. I didn't even realize that you had a separate business. I thought this is what you do. And obviously you're a designer, but I thought this is the only thing you did. Did you go to school? Obviously you went to school to be a designer, I'm guessing. But did you know when you were younger that you wanted to venture out into this space, or was it just kind of an accident? How did that happen?
No, you know what? It's kind of interesting. I've always been artistic as a kid. My dad's an architect, so it's there. It's in the blood, you know. And I used to go to job sites with him when I was younger, and he's has his own business, so I'd spend a lot of time in the office, and he's really a great mentor for me. I mean, he's 82. He's still practicing. Yeah, it's crazy. He still goes to work every day to his office and still designs. So it's really something that's inherently in me. But I did my undergrad in business marketing. And I think that sometimes as kids, we tend to, he never really pushed me into going to be an architect or anything like that at all. But no one, no, I shouldn't say no one. There's a lot of kids that are like, I want to do my own thing. You know, like they're growing up. They don't necessarily want to go into family business or whatever. So, you know, me trying to spread my wings, I wanted to do my own thing. And I did my undergrad in marketing, which in hindsight was one of the best things I could have done because I did not know it at the time. I was going to school. I was doing all these things. I got out of school and I'm like, no, I don't even know what kind of job I want to do. I just knew that it was going to be in my head. I thought marketing would be creative.
Yeah.
And so I kind of went down that path, and I was working jobs. I worked for Miracle Ear selling hearing aids.
Oh,
I
wow.
like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. Every job at the time was a sales job, and I am not a salesperson by any means. Like, I don't even like to force friends to go out if they don't want to go out. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't sell anything to anyone. So needless to say, I was an epic failure at it financially, like wasn't making any money. And I just kind of had this like big aha moment. One night my sister was on a business trip, and I tagged along with her because I was bartending at the time. So it was easy to take a little bit of time off. And I, I was lying awake. This was a time difference. And I just thought, like, I am too young to be doing a job for the rest of my life that I hate. Like, none of these jobs were filling my soul. They weren't filling my cup. And so I just decided when I got back from that trip that I was going to walk right into the Boston Architectural College. I had a sense that I wanted to do something more creative, and I went into interior design. And so I went and did my master's. Technically, the degree is master's in interior architecture. So I went back to school and I did that. And by the time I was rolling out at the end, there was this casting call that they sent to all the students, which is kind of a cool story. But they sent this casting call to everyone because they thought it'd be a really good learning experience. It was for a design show on ABC Family. And I was like, why not? I'll go audition. You know, that sounds like
Mm-hmm.
fun. I was a bartender. I was used to putting myself out there and meeting people and not shy. So I went out and I auditioned for the show. Like, really did not go there with the intention of I'm going to get this show. I just really thought it'd be fun.
Right.
And I got it. And so then I fell in love with it. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is me. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
How old were
So then I
you
ended
when you knew that, when you had that,
late.
like, this is
It
it?
was, oh my gosh, late in life. Like, I was 29 when I got that first TV show.
Okay.
So I say late in life for, considering I did my undergrad. I worked for several years in different jobs and went back to school, had been in school for several years, and so I say late when I had that moment, but still young, because I always think that it doesn't matter how old you are, if you're not doing what you love, there's still time, there's still time to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I got into it, which is funny. You know what I mean? I think that if I didn't put myself out there to do that audition, but I guess I didn't even know what I wanted, I think that's half the battle.
Yeah.
Figuring that out.
Yeah, exactly. Figuring definitely half the battle. So you're on this TV show, you're 29 years old, and were you like, oh yeah, and I want to do interior design, my own business, and do this on the side? Or were you like, I'm just going to do this TV thing and see where it goes?
Yeah, I did the TV thing to see where it would go, and I did it full time for a very long time. I made the jump from ABC Family. You know what's interesting, Julie, actually, is that when I did that show, and when that moment clicks, when you're like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you don't have to try as hard to get these jobs. They come to you,
Yep.
And I don't even know any other way to say it. It probably sounds arrogant. I mean, I don't mean it to come across that way at all. It was like I was doing this, and it was such a great natural fit that everything was going so well that show ended. And there was a casting call for a show on HGTV. I sent them the link to the website of the show, and they called me back within half an hour, and they're like, "We want you to do this show." And then that one led to another one. So I was on HGTV for 12 years. Like crazy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the business aspect happened because when I made the leap to HGTV, I started getting inquiries for jobs. So I would take little small projects, but I was not equipped from the business sense to understand how to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was basically doing it for free for people because I didn't even know how to build them. And then, I don't know, I would take on slightly over time. I would take on another project, and then I had to hire somebody to help me, and then that person would kind of incorporate a little bit more of the business aspect because the person I hired was not doing TV, so for them it was their job, and so I just kind of kept growing from there, and now we're doing many multi-million-dollar makeovers and new construction projects, et cetera, and juggling both. the
Wow.
TV and the business.
Crazy.
But yeah, it's so wild to see how fast. I'm 47 now, so I mean, even 29 to 47, we're almost 20 years later. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, I can't even believe
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I feel like in the course of those 20 years, there's just been so much that has changed and grown, but organically. And I always tell people who are trying to start out new businesses, um, don't bite off more than you can chew. I sat at my dining room table for as long as I can remember until my husband was like, okay, enough. You need to get out of here. Like, you're taking over the house with your material samples and all this.
Yeah.
And all he wanted to do was watch Law and Order, and he couldn't because I was sitting at the dining table. So, I ended up moving into a tiny little office where it was like a shared, before they had work, like WeWork and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was somebody's financial office, and they had one like private little office that's for one person that they were willing to rent out. So me and my design assistant at the time took over that space, and then we grew, and now we've got a team of almost 10 of us, and it's not huge. We're still okay size for a design firm, but not a big firm by any means. But yeah, it's just you
But big enough
you
to
let
do what
yourself
you
grow.
big
Yeah,
enough
yeah,
to do what you
exactly.
want to do. Yeah. You don't need to be bigger if what you're
Hmm.
doing fits your life.
Well, because I wouldn't have the balance because I couldn't do both.
Yeah.
If the business keeps growing, I won't be able to keep doing television, and I don't want to not do television. That was
Right.
a double negative, but I love doing it. So I love
Yeah.
having, and Restaurant Impossible is perfect because that's why we have other designers on, so we can all rotate, and that way
Yeah.
I can continue with my business.
Yeah. It sounds like the best of both worlds. I love what you said initially about like designing your own life, because I've been hearing a lot about, just listening to other podcasts and radio shows and stuff, and I keep hearing the term, architect of your own life. And my upbringing came from a big family, and work hard. Same thing. I bartended,
Hmm.
waitress, went to school, paid for everything myself. Always working hard, and it was
Yeah.
work hard. And I also have a marketing degree. I ended up double majoring in marketing and economics. And same thing, people said, you should be in sales because you're good with people. But I'm like, I suck at selling. I can't sell anything. Same as
Yeah.
like, I don't like it. I'm not good at it. I'm not competitive. Money
Hmm.
is not my motivator.
It's
So
not your drive.
I'm never going to be
That's a big part
successful.
of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And funny too, because marketing and sales kind of go together, but really now marketing is such a separate creative endeavor than sales, and they are so separate now. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand,
Uh-huh.
but marketing really should be more creative and not selling. So yeah, same thing. I was like, what am I going to do? And I ended up getting a master's in teaching. I really wanted to be in teaching. And then I realized I wanted to be in training and development for the corporate world, not in the school setting.
Oh, yeah.
That
Nice.
Yeah, that was my journey. But as I was going along, it was always like, well, just work hard and then get a job, and then you'll be successful because you'll be working hard, and people love hard workers, and just get a job. So
Right.
same,
Right.
I was always like, I'll work hard, I'll prove myself, and then I'll be able to get any job I want. And so for the most part, my whole life has been apply for the job I wanted, and I would get it, and I'd do that for X amount of years, and I'd go to the next one. But then,
Yeah.
my aha moment, because I just turned 50 last year, was like, I keep trying to look outside for the perfect job that will fit me, instead of creating it myself. And I realized, this is my
Right.
aha moment last year. I can't keep looking for someone else to say, hey, Julie, here's exactly what you want to do. Would you like to come work for us? No, I have to create it
That,
myself. It's
that's
never
great
going to
advice.
be, yeah, it's never going to
Right.
be what I want unless I'm creating it. And I just
Hmm.
decided last year, I'm going to create exactly what I want. It's going to take time. I'm going to be strategic. I'm going to
Yeah.
take it slow. Like you said, let it happen organically. And what also that you said was so true. It becomes easier and easier as you go towards the things that light you up and that you're passionate about and that come easy. It's not, you can work hard, but that doesn't mean killing yourself and having something not work. Okay, well then it's going to eventually it will work because you're killing yourself. That's really not the way it
Right.
works. And so many people think, if
Right.
I just kill myself, eventually I'll get there. It's like, it shouldn't be that hard over there. It's not
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
because it's not where you're supposed to be. And
Right.
it's so
It's so
freeing.
true.
Yeah.
It is. It's putting the square peg in the round hole. If it's not where you're supposed to be, you can try all you want, but you're going to end up being disappointed. And And that is a vicious, awful cycle, because once that starts, it's really hard to pull yourself out of that. You know, you don't
Yeah.
like where you're working, or you get rejected for a promotion, and that leads to, not being happy. You go home, it affects your family. It affects everything, everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and people don't, and I think just in the, the way our generation, you and I grew up, is more like just work, that working hard. I'm all for the work ethic of working hard, but
yeah.
it was just that old school way of just, you put your head down and you do it every day, and if you're miserable, that's okay, because it's a job and it's not supposed to be perfect. It's like, I don't
Hmm.
need perfection, but it definitely doesn't need, because you said it permeates into everything else you're doing, and then your life really kind of sucks, and you're like, oh, it's just because of this job that you're doing 8 to 10 hours a day and commuting to, and not giving you
Yeah.
that satisfaction and that passion. It's just,
Right.
I just want people to learn it sooner, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
No, and I love that you're doing that, because I feel like people need to hear that. And the other thing you need to hear is that, hey, every day of my life is not all roses. There are hard days just like everybody else,
Yeah.
and loving your job doesn't mean you're not going to have a bad day, or your ego's not going to get bruised, or, a client's not going to say something that's going to rub me the wrong way and make me start questioning my own abilities. We all have those insecurities. I mean, it's there. It's just how you manage them and how you handle them. And as long as your good outweighs those negative ones, and you can really squash that down into a little ball as little as you can,
Mm-hmm.
then that's doing all right. I remember back in my miracle year days, the one good thing that came out of it was that I had asked this couple. They had been married for, I think they were married for 65 years, 60 to 65 years. And,
Mm.
of course, I'm young then, like really young, and I just was so blown away by it. And I was like, so what's your secret, the long lasting marriage? And the wife said, she goes, if she goes, I feel like people expect the perfect partner, right? They have to be perfect at everything. And so when you get in a fight, you realize that, it crushes you. It's the end of the world. She goes, if we're 80% perfect, then that's perfect. If you can accept that 80% of something good is really good enough, then it gives you that tolerance, that the allowance to just say, all right, when something bad does happen, it falls into that 20% category. I'm not going to let it bring me down and destroy me. So I feel like that in a lot of different spectrums of life, not just marriage, is a good way to approach something. But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, don't build it up to be, it has to be 100% or you're a failure,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, for sure. Expect the stress, but then have tools to be able to deal with them so that it doesn't crush you, like you said, and it doesn't change your
Hmm.
way of being and your personality just because some one person thinks this. It's one perspective, whatever it is. But if you have tools
Yeah.
and mantras and ways to get past that and say, okay, I'm going to think about this over here that's positive instead, that'll be way easier to
Yeah.
deal with. But yeah, when people let it squash them, it's you end up being in that
It's
negative
hard to,
mindset.
it's right. And it's hard. And I feel so bad when that does happen, because it's happened to all of us, it happens, and it's so hard to dig yourself out. But like for me, I have my own personal outlets. Like I love to go to the gym, or, I like to take breaks. It took me a long time to realize that I don't have to be feeling guilty if I take a break.
Mm-hmm.
If I need a day to go do something for myself, then I'll try to take that day if I can make it happen. And if it's not a day, and if it's just maybe going and getting a 1 hour massage, or I don't know, whatever it is, that like just
Mm-hmm.
give myself some time for me. That was hard to accept, that I'm allowed to do that, and
Yeah,
I
I
need
think,
it.
yeah,
Like I
I
need
think for
it.
sure. I think most women struggle with that, and they think, oh, if they're taking time from themselves, or taking away from something else or someone else or something they should be
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
That list is never going to go away. But obviously, you realize when you go and do those things and take those breaks, you are more creative, you are more focused, you are more
Mhm.
pleasant to be around. All of those things and then
Right.
everything gets a little bit easier because you did those things. But we women, I just think, are just raised to, oh, just keep going and doing, and put yourself at the
Caretaking.
bottom of the
Yeah.
list. Yeah. And it doesn't work
Right.
that
Right.
way. Well, it
It's
does, but you get
managing
burnt out a lot.
expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel so, I feel for all my mom friends out there. I don't have any kids. I have a dog. That's it.
Mhm.
I mean, that is next level too. I always, I know, because so many of my friends have, their kids are ranging in ages from 2 years old to 20 years old. And when I hear, you know, the guilt that they put on themselves, and oh, I feel so bad. It's a tough one.
Yeah. The sooner we can get that lesson earlier in our life, the better our relationships are going to
Yeah.
be, our parenting is going to be. It's tough, but then they also, your kids end up seeing, and then even people that you're working with, they see, you're setting, there's a saying, you know, kids don't listen to what you tell them, they listen to what you do. And if they
Yeah.
sacrificing and never giving anything to yourself, they learn that that's not important or that's not a priority, then that's what they end up doing.
Right.
Never advise anyone to just work, work, work and never take any time for themselves and run themselves into
Yeah.
the ground. That's what we tend to do. And then,
Right.
why do I feel so bad? Yeah, sure.
And I think there's a lot of managing people's expectations also is a big one. I see a lot of people put a lot of stress on themselves, but they're not managing the other person's expectations. So even if that's in life, as a mom with your families, or a business owner to their client, you know, whenever I filmed a show called The Great Christmas Light Fight, which airs every Christmas season on ABC. And it's a really important show for me. It's such a feel-good show. It's finding the craziest, wildest Christmas light displays across America. And you're meeting these amazing families. And can you imagine, like, why are people putting Christmas lights up to that extent? They're doing it to bring joy to people, you know, and to make them happy. And, you know, they're just really exceptional people that spend a lot of time and a lot of money to just kind of make their community tighter, people around them happier. So the show is really important to me and I love doing it. And I tell all my clients, the next 6 weeks I'm on the road and I'm so sorry. I'll be working during the day because we film at night because they're Christmas lights. So I will be accessible, but you must know I will not be attending any site meetings. I will not be able to be there in person. I'll do my best if I can, but just expect that I can't. You know what I mean? And so I tell them all, and I think they get it because they understand how much it means to me. And I've not had a complaint once. In 6 weeks, when there's a project being built out that's on a tight timeline, you know, because if it's someone's house, there's timelines, but people are living in it, so they're a little more forgiving of time. When it's a restaurant, there's a hard date, hard opening. So it's tough, but I mean, I haven't had any complaints because I'm so blunt and upfront about it. Like, here's the deal, guys. So
Yes, that's great advice. Managing expectations, telling people what to expect, and then being proactive about it instead of just waiting for someone to come to you and say, why haven't you been? Oh, I was doing this and this. That would have been nice to know. People just want to be in the know. They want to be communicated
they
to.
just want to be in the know.
Yeah.
You're
And
right.
so you can
Yeah.
be proactive and cut everyone off at the pass. And of course, you're going to get a good response from it that way instead of just saying like, oh, well, I had this going on, and people can still relate to that and accept it, but it's not gonna land as well because you weren't being proactive in telling them. So that's really good advice.
Right.
So what do you think all of these, you know, starting off in your pseudo sales career and then going back to school to eventually become a designer, all of those things along the way, which strengths or traits do you think made you most successful along the way?
The ability to connect with people. I don't think it has anything to do with talent. You know, I think it's the ability to connect with people and also the ability to just work. Like, just like you were saying before, hard work. People see that. It enables you. When you work hard, they see it, they respect it, and then it just builds. It's a nice force that gains momentum. You know, there's I see this all the time. There's other designers out there that are better than me. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's totally fine. It's the ability to listen and the ability to sort of, again, connect with people. I don't really know any other way to say it, but you know, when we do Restaurant Impossible, I walk into the space. I don't have time to work out a big old design plan. I don't have time to really think through a lot of things, nor do I even get the opportunity to talk to these owners because, again, what you're seeing on TV, I don't know any of that. You know what I mean? So I'm walking into it. But what I do is I walk around the space and I take cue from the things that I think that they put effort into. So if I see that there's something in there that they purposefully did, then that tells me, okay, this is probably what they were trying to convey. And an example of that was there was a restaurant we had done many, many years ago, and this woman bought a bar that was a very sort of trucker, male-oriented, like masculine
Yeah.
bar. And I saw that she had doilies put out, right? Like, so on her tables, on these pub tables, she had put doilies out. And I just thought, this woman is yearning for a feminine touch. She just doesn't have the money to do it. So the best she could do is to buy these paper doilies and put them
Yeah.
on the table. Because quite frankly, she could have gotten any placemat. It could have been any flat, square paper placemat. But it just spoke to me that she was looking for feminine touch or touches throughout this bar. And so that just kind of opened the door and brought me into, all right, I'm going to go in this direction, but I don't want to alienate all like the original clientele that's coming in here. So I have to find that perfect balance between masculine and feminine. And then it kind of goes and builds from there.
Noticing. So you're saying, yeah, taking cues by the things you see, but really paying attention and then
Listening. Yeah. Like
observing.
even though they're not speaking to me, right. I'm observing and listening. So even if it's a client that I have, I could strongly disagree with them, but instead of being confrontational about it, and I think this is a big thing that happens a lot. Like if you're in an industry and your ego gets bruised, instead of getting defensive, turn to that person and say, I totally hear you loud and clear. All people want to know is that they're being heard. I hear you. I mean, how do you think I get garden lights up in these restaurants with Robert Irvine? I always tell him, I hear you.
Yeah.
He's like, I hate garden lights, no garden lights. And I'm like, okay, I totally hear you. Do you mind if I put them up? And if you hate it, I'll take them down. Like he just needs to know, or anyone for that matter, because I think these restaurants really, Robert is my client as opposed to the restaurant owners, because I'm getting my information through him.
Yeah.
You know, so just to know that they're being heard will take you so far. Anyone that's listening right now,
Yes.
whoever you're working with, just make sure they're heard.
Beautiful advice. I love it. That's so, it kind of like takes our last couple of questions, kind of we put them together because one of my questions was going to be about, what advice do you have for someone searching for a meaningful career where they can use their strengths? But at the end of the day, what you just said is a great way to think about it. Along the way, you're listening, you're observing yourself and other people. And while you're trying to figure out what your path's going to be, if you're doing what you just described, it'll be easier to get there. But what else would you say is something that one thing you either wish you would learn a little bit sooner or would tell people to say, like figuring out what they want to do with their career? What would you suggest?
Yeah. Gosh, something I wish I knew a little bit sooner. Maybe I want to say I wish I knew this sooner, but I really feel like every step, the reason I'm hesitating to answer the question is that I feel like every step of what I've done has gotten me to where I am. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say what would I do differently because I'm not sure I would do anything differently.
Right. Yeah.
Working in Miracle Air for a year, not making any money, or like all my bartending days, I wouldn't trade that in for the world. I used to sell workwear clothing as a sales rep over the phone, and I love the people I worked with, but I hated that job. I hated it. But I think it all got me to where I am right now. I think weeding out what you don't want to do is equally as important as figuring out what you do want to do. So, trying things and just giving yourself a chance to experience different things if you think that's what you might like. And no, you might not. You might not like it, but that's okay. You can just check that off the list. Next.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Then you're one step closer to figuring out what you do want, even now, something didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Well, this has been such a cool conversation. I could talk to you forever because I'm sure you have a lot of fun stories too. I'm really glad I reached out. I'm really glad I said to my husband, I said, I need to get her on my podcast. And he's like, you should. And I said, I'm just gonna reach out and see what happens. And I didn't even know how to do that because I've never even reached out to anyone who had anything. I'll just do this.
Oh, no.
But it just goes to show you.
I'm so glad.
Creating it, I just said, I'd like to have this. I'm going to see I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to figure out how to do it. And you can get it done. You just have to ask questions and be open to it,
Right. And I can tell you, I read what you had written. And when you told me in that email that you told your boys that that's because she's happy, my eyes filled up with tears reading it, because I felt like you got it. Like you got me. Like I could cry right now talking about it. Like it really, it like, see, you made me cry. Yeah. Well, so that's
I'm so glad. But it's the truth. I mean, my husband and I have always said, like, you walk into a room and you feel energy, you connect with someone. There's no rhyme or reason about it. You just feel connected to them. You want to be around them, whatever it is. But that there's no denying that energy. And when you feel the bad stuff, turn away from it. When you feel the good stuff, try to figure out how you can get more
run
of that.
into it.
Yeah, there's no mistaking someone that you feel that energy around. They can't hide that. You can't pretend you're happy. You can't walk into a room and say everything's fine, and someone's voice goes up and everything's not fine. I can tell just by the way you said that, or your energy, or whatever it is, or your eyes are not in line, or it's congruent with what you just said. And everything about your appearance, and then it's the energy flowing through you is it's just a testament to people really can have what they want and still be, like you said, everything's not perfect. You walk into stressful situations in that show, and it doesn't matter how stressed out you are or the situation is, you can still have good energy and be positive and turn it into something fun and funny or whatever, just by being who you are and bringing that light to someone's day or room or whatever it is. So thank you for all of that, because it's fun to watch.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for reaching out to me.
Of course.
It was a true pleasure. Really wish you the best of luck with your podcast, and can't wait to start listening.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you, and keep doing what you're doing, because people need more of this energy in the world, and the sooner we can all have it and get it and teach people how to get it, it's just so much more fun being around out in the world, don't you think?
I do. I totally agree. And I love that you're spreading that word.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful
All
day.
right, well, say hi to your family for me. Tell them thanks for watching.
I will. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. If you love this content, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you found us on. You can get all my social media links in the description below. Help us keep the momentum going so that every person can live their lives happily, doing work they love.